Let's do some commands in Ubuntu. First of all, once we have Ubuntu installed, we want to make sure that we have our programs and applications up to date. There's a couple of ways you can do this. What I'm going to do is just kind of walk through the process of installing, upgrading, and uninstalling or removing a program. I think you might get more value out of that. So the application we'll look at is GIMP. I want to see if GIMP is installed. I'm going to run aptitude and I'm going to look at the cache, policy, and GIMP. When I run that command, it's going to tell me that I do not have GIMP installed, but there is a candidate available in the repository that I can install. Now when we install something, it's going to require elevated privilege, so we'll have to go into the sudo sudo super user do, and then we'll use the aptitude and git to be able to install. Sudo apt git install GIMP. So we start running that, and as it's running, it's updating all the packages. And so if I use the up arrow and return back into the apt cache policy, I can now see that there is a version installed. Now if I already had GIMP installed, but I wanted to upgrade, maybe make sure I have the latest, I can do that by doing a sudo apt get upgrade, and I can upgrade everything in the repository at one time just by using that command. Now let's say that we want to delete GIMP. We no longer need it. So if I use the up arrow, I can come over to install and remove. So this command is sudo apt get remove GIMP. It's going to say, are you sure about that? Yes, I am. And so it removes that. Now if we run our policy check again against GIMP, we see that there is none installed. So that's how you install, upgrade, and remove applications. The next thing that we'll do is we'll create a file, and I just want this file to contain a simple message. The way to do that is to open Nano, and I'm going to create this as file.txt. And it takes me into Nano, and I can just type in, this is a message. And so now I'll save that, and so to exit I'm just going to do the Control X, and it says, do you want to save that? Yes, I do. And do you want to save it as file.txt? Yes, I do. Now let's look and see if that file is actually there. So I do the ls command, and I see that file.txt is in fact in there. The next thing that I would like to do is see what the permissions are. To take a look at the permissions themselves, I can run the ls tac li for the list, and it's going to give me all contents inside that directory, and I can see that file.txt is right here, and I can also see the owner and group user for this. Both of them are WA. Now in this case, I would like to change the ownership to root and leave the group as WA. So to change ownership, I'll elevate the privilege, change ownership, and I'm going to change that with root and going to leave the group WA, and that is for file.txt. So let's go back and do a ls-li and see if that worked. So here was the file before, and if we look down now, we can see that we changed to root with the group WA. Now let's change the privilege level over here, and it looks like we've got read write, and then just read for the rest of the world. And so I would like to change this to read only and not write for WA. So in order to do that, I'm going to elevate sudo change mod or modify. I'm going to change the privilege level since it's the same. Here I actually want to degrade its privilege from a 6 to a 4, and then I'm going to leave this one as a 4, and this is for file.txt. Let's run the ls-li again and see what happened. So this is what we had before right here. In the new one, we remain with the 6 read write. We did take away the write privilege. We still have read privilege, and now it is the same as the rest of the world. So this is the 644. Now let's go ahead and change this privilege back to a 6. So we want to change that to a 664 instead of a 644. Let's use the up arrow, and let's just back up and put 6 in there, and let's run the ls-li again. So here we have the privileges again. It moved from the read only here to write. So this is the 664 privilege level. If we are finished with this file, we can go ahead and delete that file. And to do that, we can just remove it. And let's see if it did in fact delete that file. So I run ls-li, and you can see that that file is gone. That's just a little bit of information on installing, upgrading, creating a file, changing the ownership, changing the permissions, and removing the file.